Well, hello, friends. I noticed you there. This is not the second time we're doing this. This is the first time. I didn't mess up at all. Welcome to Respawn Aim Fire. This is a RAF reviews for Horizon Forbidden West. We're here to talk all about it. I'm your host, Adam Gumbert, and I have a good special friend with me, Jake. Tell me all about you. I've never heard it before.
Hey, it's me. I'm Jake. I know Adam from we play Dungeons and Dragons together every Tuesday on now on twitch.tv/Misfit Rolls. We play in the Isle of Misfit Rolls podcast and now video streaming D&D game. And we've done some other games content and stuff together occasionally. Reviewed a couple games and did an Xbox show for a while. And now we're here to talk about Horizon.
Very good. Yes, everyone follow Jake. He tweets about the Knicks and then talks about D&D.
The Birdman 5-3, Birdman with a U. I lament the state of the Knicks frequently. But they're never far away from my heart.
Look at that.
Keep them on the wrist at all times. Keep them on the pins right below the desk here. You know, they're never far away from anything I'm involved in. But yeah, outside of that, tweeting about professional wrestling happenings, mainly AEW and New Japan when I can catch it, and then just doom scrolling my life away.
Oh, that's real life, ain't it? It's rough.
Yeah. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining me, Jake. We'll talk about Horizon Forbidden West. We're reviewing the game. First of all, I'll go ahead and put it at the top. Neither one of us have beaten the game, but we both put a good amount of time into it. Me a little more than Jake. I know what happens because I look up spoilers because I don't care at all.
Fool.
So you don't have to worry about like full story spoilers at all here. We will get into some gameplay stuff and all that, but just at the top, I'll let you know when we're gonna get more loosey goosey with it, but nothing too crazy here. A lot of video games coming out. So I'm gonna start off with some info on Horizon Forbidden West. Ooh, and guess what? The game's only been out a week. There's not a lot. Horizon Forbidden West received generally favorable reviews on Metacritic. Critics disagreed about the impact of the expanded scale of the game's map, story, and missions. Currently sits on an 80 on a Metacritic. Good, very good score. People are like, oh, it's bigger, that's good. And some people are like, it's bigger, that's bad, it's bloat. People got open world fatigue. But mostly positive overall. Sales, not a lot. The only thing you can really find is, I kind of don't like these reports, like UK box sales, because that's the only people who report. I'm like, that means absolutely nothing. It's like one country's physical sales. That means nothing to me. That's not an aggregate for anything at all.
Not super accurate, yeah.
No. The one sales thing we do have is that the game is the second biggest PS5 launch so far, behind Spider-Man Miles Morales and just ahead of FIFA 22. So we do know that it has a very, very good launch in comparison to everything that has been on PS5. Like Spider-Man, Horizon was released on both PS4 and PS5, so I'm sure that helped bump up the numbers. But regardless, it's the second biggest launch on this console generation for PlayStation. So that's basically all there is because, again, game just came out. We don't have a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff yet. It is from Guerrilla Games, the people who made Killzone and then the first Horizon. There's a sequel 5 years later, released exactly a week before another big game came out. Those guys are having really good luck with that, but we're not here to talk about Elden Ring. We're not here to talk about Breath of the Wild. We're here to talk about Horizon. So, real quick, Jake, give me your top level thoughts on the game. Just like a real quick, if like you were tweeting it out, do you think it's worth buying? How good is it? How do you feel it compares to other open world games or even the first Horizon? Just like if you had to tweet somebody about it, what would you think about this game?
So, if it was on Twitter, then everyone's looking for hot takes, right? And I would say that for the second launch in a row, Horizon is getting overshadowed by an inferior game.
Oof.
It is better than Breath of the Wild. I haven't
that.
played Elden Ring, but I've played Souls games, and if I had to venture a guess, it's probably better than Elden Ring. So we're starting out hot. So that would be, if I had to tweet it, if that's what you're saying. If I had to have like a real discussion with a friend of mine about games, then like, yeah, it's good. And I would probably buy it. I didn't. I have GameFly, so I'm playing it for $17 a month right now until I beat it. Um, but yeah, it seems like, hey, did you like that thing we made last time that everyone seemed to like? Do you want to do that again? Uh, here, here's that. Um, and I'm not mad at it so far. And due to technical difficulties, my PlayStation 5 and it being completely out of commission for a couple days. I just got it back up and running like hours before we recorded this, and it's been re-downloading all of my games ever since. So I haven't touched it today. I am not as far as I wanted to be. Um, so a lot of it is still very surface level and kind of getting back the equipment and the abilities that you kind of are already familiar with from the first game. So it feels that so far feels very samey to me. So understand that may be a not good impression because it might get very different later on, or they might expand on a lot of stuff. But I just haven't gotten that far to see for myself. But so far, it's just putting you back into the world and kind of reminding you how everything works without having to do like the God of War to like steal all your powers away. Now you have to earn them back. It's just like no, no, no. You're still talented. It's just you know you're building back up to things. But I'm digging it.
Okay, let's put a pin in that specific
Hmm.
about like rebuilding and whatever,
Oh
because
sure.
that'll be part of it. Remind me when we get to the quote unquote spoiler part, because that's I do have thoughts about that part of the game. For me, top level, like again, yeah. Did you like the first one? So I actually played Zero Dawn for the second time, like early, like when it came to PC. So I've only played it in like the last year, and I was trying to beat it before this one came out. Couldn't finish. Not that I couldn't. I didn't want to finish it because I do think Zero Dawn's very good, but it feels like an open world game from 2017. Not a knock on it. It was like, oh yeah, but this open world games have kind of moved past this. There's very specific things in that game that kind of carry over to this one that kind of don't. That I was like, you know what? I'll just wait for the new one. Forget it. I will definitely say I do think it's a good game. Again, if you like open world games, I think you'll enjoy it. It's probably one of the prettiest games that I've seen on these next gen consoles. Oh boy! I guess did you play in resolution or frame rate mode?
Res
Absolutely,
resolution.
only way to play this game.
My eyes, I cannot tell the difference in the frame rates.
Mm.
I have tried switching games back and forth over and over again to tell. I cannot tell the difference in 60, so I always go resolution on PS5.
Yeah, this game you absolutely should because I switched back and forth and I was like, oh yes, it is smoother. Things do move faster, but this game loves particle effects. No matter where you are, outside, inside, mountains, forest, underwater, it doesn't matter. There's particles everywhere. There's always things floating around on the screen. And when you do the frame rate mode, I think it just makes the game look bad, to be honest with you. Like it does
Mm.
all that fidelity goes when it's like there's just like fuzzy stuff on my screen now compared to like, oh man, these glistening,
Mm.
drops of snow and this pollen, and it just becomes like there's stuff everywhere. So I would definitely say only play this game in resolution. It's still solid 30, so I think it still looks good. But yeah, that's the only way to play the game. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it looks beautiful, and people should check it out if you like open world games, and if you especially have a PS5. Like, come on, what else are you gonna play? It's the best thing on PS5 right now. So now we're getting into our quote unquote spoiler part, so where you can talk more freely. If you haven't played it at all, or if you're trying to stay away from stuff, here's your warning now. We both said, hey, it's good, check it out. Again, no crazy story stuff because we're not at the end of the game. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end. But so what I asked you to put a pin in, I don't remember anymore.
Gameplay, getting your abilities back, like starting out the game.
Yes, here's what I will say. Because you're in that part. It's called the Daunt, which is like the opening area of the game.
I'm just clear of the dawn,
Just got off
so
for
I'm
the second time.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I will say, I do like that area because it kind of introduces you to everything. Oh, not everything though. It introduces you to like, hey, here's the world. In case you've never played it before, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, here's how to play Horizon. That's fine, but that opening area, I feel like it's a little long. I think it's like 7 hours to get through, like quote unquote, the tutorial area. And I do feel like, especially if you just played Horizon, like you said, it feels very much the same. But now I have to do it. Well, maybe you don't have to. The way I played it, it was like, well, I got to do everything here. So I was like, all right, now I'm going to do the tutorial area for 7 or 8 hours, and you literally don't have any of the new equipment to that. You don't get that until you leave the Dawn, and then you start getting the equipment. So I'm like, oh, I'm literally playing Horizon Zero Dawn for 8 hours before I get into what this game actually is, which interesting again if you never played it, if you just want to mess around or whatever. But it's like I can see why people are like, oh yeah, this game's too big because I'm just doing a tutorial for 7. Like people have always complained about like the tutorial's too much. I can see their point on this one. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that to the point that it's not like thinking of other games that have obnoxiously long tutorials, and my brain immediately goes to Persona 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because that game, I think the thing that makes me feel like tutorial's too long is when they're not giving you control. When it's just like you're forced to just read text boxes or whatever, and it's just describing every single thing to you, and you're in like some 4 hour long cutscene basically with like little bouts of interactivity between them. Like that's the part where it breaks for me. But Horizon, you like you said, you in seeing the map go, I have to do everything here before I can do anything else. Like I must do every side quest before I can move on. So, but the fact that the game almost immediately opens you up and goes, okay, now here, go do quest. And it's just instead of being an open world, it's a long skinny strip that then funnels into the open world once you get through the embassy part of it. But you could go right to the embassy. I mean, it's like 3 quests. That is a theoretical like hour and a half of that intro sequence, and then somewhere around there probably.
But that's
and then
not how
you can
play
just
open
go
world
right to
games.
it.
Nobody plays open world games like that.
Some people do. I certainly didn't.
Yeah,
I did
I
the
did.
exact same thing you did.
Definitely my
I was
fault.
like, oh well, there's a question mark here. I have to go look at what that is first, and let's go explore this random mansion that's got a fucking a loose whatever purple square on top of it. That seems important. So yeah, so I mean you're right about that, but I don't know if that's their fault to be like, oh they kept me trapped here for so long. It's like no, you chose to do that.
Yeah.
'Cause you could have just not done that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like when I used to manage a movie theater and people would get there like 30 minutes before and then complain that they sat through 50 minutes of trailers. And it's like, no, you didn't. You sat through 30 minutes of the unadvertised
Maria
pre-show, and then
Menounos.
you watched a normal amount of trailers,
Yeah.
and then the movie started. Like you chose to get here 30 minutes early. Like you could have just got here on time or 5 minutes late, and then watched the normal amount of trailers and gone into the movie. So I think it's the same idea. Like if they give you a choice, I'm not going to lament them for that or criticize it. I think.
Yeah, but it
But
does. It does. I'm with you. It's like I chose to do that stuff, but it's once you actually get into the real open world, like, oh, here's where the game really is. So again, yes, it is your own fault, but it's like, oh, now this is where the game actually starts, which is
yeah.
take that or leave it. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I was like, oh yeah, now I actually have powers to do stuff, and that's where I think it feels different. Like when it actually feels like a sequel is when you leave the Dawn.
Yeah, and some of it they push you away from it because there's some side quests that are to be finished within the Dawn, but they're like, stop doing this until you go do the embassy. Like it puts a big red thing over your side quest, and it's like, do not come back and investigate this. And you go, but it's inside the Dawn. I see the question mark, and they go, we don't care, dude. We're not gonna let you finish the quest. Please go play the game and get into the open world, and then come back if you want to later. So there's a little bit of that there, but yeah, I had just gotten the old parachute flyer. So yeah, mine was just starting to get to where it was feeling a little different. And I don't know how much they expand from there because I've kept a pretty good avoidance on knowing what happens past anything. I have no idea what happens to the story, unlike you crazy person.
That's what it is.
It's terrible.
I will say that the shield wing, which is what you use the glide or whatever, there are multiple new equipment items that are new to this game that make exploration and going around the world very cool and very fun. So I like that. All that stuff's cool. It's like, oh, look at this. The game even starts you with the little pole caster, so you can grab stuff and pull it down. It's like even that plays into it. So I do like how the new equipment changes things up. So it's not just that was the thing with the first one. It's just like, I guess I'll just fast travel from here to here to here because running around is really not that fun. In the first game, traversal was like fine, whatever. So, story though. Again, not going to get too much into it. I don't want to spoil it for you. There is a thing about the game. I also had this problem with the first game. Not a problem. it was a problem in the first game. In this game, it's not a problem, but it's still a thing that I'm not a super huge fan of, right? And you'll even notice it in the dawn in the beginning of the game is that
Mhm.
this game, the story, what's happening in the world is super cool. The whole like after Earth post apocalypse, robots, AI, whatever, all that stuff is
Were
super
you
super cool.
were you gonna say Pokemon there?
No, post apocalyptic.
It sounded like you snuck into Pokemon there. I was like, bro, that's a very
Pikachu
different game
shows
that
up.
I'd be super into. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, continue,
No, you're
continue.
good. And all that stuff I do think is very cool with all the robots and such. My issue, it was way worse in the first one because the animations were so bad. But this game loves to talk at you a lot, where it's like, and it's not a huge deal at the very beginning of the game because like, oh, it's a new game, I'm getting into it. But there's definitely a point where it's just like, hey, keep talking to these people, and there is so much dialogue, and it just wants you to keep asking people questions to learn what's happening,
Mm.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? If you want to learn more about the world, that's cool, that's fine. But it is so much dialogue, and there's basically you're just watching it because there's no choice. So I heard someone explain this. Like in Mass Effect, there's a ton of dialogue in Mass Effect, but you're making choices. You're actively like, affecting things that happen. And this game is kind of like, oh yeah, you can choose things like Mass Effect, except for it literally doesn't matter. We're just talking to you. Oh, cool. Go to the next menu option. We're gonna talk to you. Okay, cool. All right, you're done talking to this person. Leave. And I think there's legitimately you can count on your hand how many choices you have in the game, on one hand. So it's just like, I don't know, there's a lot. Like there will come a point, Jake, where you have to talk to like 3 or 4 characters in a row, and it's probably 20 minutes worth of cutscenes of you just talking to a person, and it's like
Mhm.
none of it really matters. And
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I straight up I did in the first game. I just skip X. I read the subtitles faster than they talk. Skip, skip, skip. But the positive is in the first game it looked bad because you would just stand there and they just like slightly move left and right and talk to you. In this one, everyone is like super over animated, and it's fun to watch because everyone's like all the performers are good, and they're just like I said it last week on the podcast, but they're like doing like a play. They're like super emoting with their entire body. I'm like, okay, at least it's fun to watch, but it is a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, I've caught some of that so far. It's the same thing where it's like you can just press the option on the bottom left and just move on with the scene. But there's all the different lore options around it. And I love lore, background lore, that's part of why like KOTOR and Mass Effect are my favorite.
Yeah,
So my favorite games of all time, like Pillars of Eternity. And you're right, there's more of an engagement there because uh you're no you're paying attention because you know that you're going to have to say something
mm-hmm.
to respond to this and you want to be engaged in the conversation, whereas this one's just kind of yeah you getting dialogued at.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like, hey, I'd like to know more about this tribe or this lady who just rolled up on robots and attacked me. Have you heard of her? And then it's like, all right, cool, here's 2.5 minutes on Regala or whatever her
yeah,
name is. I can't
Regala.
remember at this point.
Yep,
Did I get that right?
mm-hmm.
Holy
Yep,
shit.
Regala. Angela
Didn't
Bassett.
expect to pull that out. Oh, is that Angela Bassett?
That's Angela Bassett. Yep.
That's fantastic. The only voice actors that I've caught so far are I know Ashley Birch is Aloy,
Mm-hmm.
and then Taliesin Jaffe is like a
I
random.
saw that. I was like, I looked on
Yeah,
IMDb. He's not listed. I'm like, that's definitely him though.
he's listed. He's just so far down. I
Oh,
had to go
okay.
look for him and find him. But yeah, I talked to the random guy like who gets caught like in his own
He's at
electric traps.
the first hunting ground that you go to.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, this is Taliesin Jaffe. I know it. It just took me a minute. I scrolled for a while on IMDb to
You
finally
did
get
find it.
there.
Okay.
But yeah, it is in fact him. But I didn't know anybody else was in it. But that's dope. It's Angela Bassett.
There's a couple famous people in this game, actually. I mean, would you have seen the other guy already? I mean, he's in the first game. Lance Reddick's in the first game.
Oh yeah. So okay, that doesn't count. I already knew Lance Reddick was
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Wasn't it Silence?
Yes, Silence. There is another very big name that is in the game. And they've already shown it enough in the trailer, but I'm not going to say it just in case, because I don't want to spoil it for you, Jake.
Do I
But
know this? I
you,
think
you would just tell you?
because I looked on the IMDb. Yeah, who is it?
What's her name? Carrie Ann Moss.
Oh, okay.
From The Matrix.
From the Matrix.
Yes.
Okay.
She's also in the video.
Yeah, I have no attachment to her, so it's probably why it skipped right by my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I know her more from the Marvel Netflix shows than I do from The Matrix. So
Marion Moss is in the Marvel Netflix shows.
yeah, she's in Jessica Jones
Oh, okay.
and Daredevil and Punisher, I think. She's the short-haired lady that is the lawyer who kind of ties a lot of the shows together.
I
She's
only
one of the
watched
few
like a
crossover
season of one of
characters.
those shows. I didn't watch all those
Hmm.
Netflix shows, so
They're coming to Disney Plus soon, I
I
think.
know, right?
Now's your chance to be better.
I'll check them out.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah, story. I can't. Again, the story just got to that part where the embassy's been overrun and ambushed, and all these people die. I don't understand. Again, I have very little to analyze, so I'm micro-analyzing. But whenever that scene happens, it's like, okay, cool. There's all these like tribes people who are known to be like incredible warriors, and there's the Karja guards who are supposed to be like incredibly strong warriors, and they've got this whole military force. Like they have a fort, like it's right there.
yeah.
Like they have a lot of, and then Aloy is like a full-on badass and is like already at this point is talked about like she is the savior of Meridian, and
Hmm.
everyone knows who she is. She's a legendary fighter and hero, and y'all just get fucking mollywopped in that scene, and it feels like the one time I felt like I was getting railroaded a little bit, where I was
Hmm.
like, "There's the fort's right there. They can't just like they're not gonna just walk out, like
You
just send a bunch of troops. Like they're getting attacked.
Aloy
No
literally
one's gonna come
watches
out.
people die. She doesn't do
Yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah. No, no,
She's like,
no.
oh,
No one's doing anything for a long time."
yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is getting a little obnoxious, like how long it's taking
Mm.
for it to finally let me have control over the scene. Like how long and I don't care about watching the cutscene itself was cool. Like if I removed myself from the situation and I was like, I just want to watch this cutscene, it's dope. Like there's good stuff happening there. But it's like her character at no point is the kind of person who's just like, I think I'll step back and assess the situation while these 8 people are getting slaughtered on the one side of me and the other people are getting slaughtered on the other side, and hmm, I guess I'll just sit here with Varl. It's like that's not her
Who
whole
she's been
time has
mean
been like,
to.
yeah, her whole time she's like, sorry guys, I can't stick around and be friends with you after we just saved the city. I have a mission and it's the most important. I must move forward at all times. I must take action at all times. And now she's like, I think I'd like to watch. I think I'd like to watch what's happening.
Mm.
So that was the part that bummed me out a little bit. Just 'cause I was like, God, come on. Like
Yeah.
I try not to be that person who like does that too much with movies and stuff, like where there's like, well, the Transformers, how come they can breathe oxygen, but not? I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm never the person that cares about that. So whenever scenes get me, it's like, oh, this is other people
Noticeable.
probably saw this
Yeah.
way more than I did.
I've heard that
It
exact
gets
scene you're
me.
talking about multiple times. People were like, "Hey, this is a weird thing in the game." Um,
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's just because we need this Regala to look like a badass and these tribes to look incredibly strong. And we're distancing ourselves from the Karja because we're going west anyway, so it's not like we're going to come across them, so we need to establish these new people. But they just, I don't know, there's probably a
mm,
million better ways they could have done it, and I'm not a writer, so fuck me, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know how to tell them to do it, um, but that's just the one part that felt odd in the story so far. The rest of it, I super dug. I like Varl kind of tagging along to be like the tutorial,
Hmm.
because it would be weird if Aloy was alone and just narrating to herself like, oh, here's how I climb things, and she's like, hey, let me teach Varl and by proxy like teach the audience.
Hmm.
I always enjoy kind of watching how games and movies like do like like Harry Potter's the best example, right? Because the same way you're introducing us to the world of magic, you take this kid who has no idea what any of this shit is, so it doesn't feel weird when people are explaining obvious things to him,
Hmm.
because they really need to explain it to us, but they're just explaining it to Harry, and he's the avatar for us as the audience. So I like when games do that in creative ways, and I liked that part just for the beginning, the whole Varl sequence.
Hmm.
But but yeah, that's about as much of the stories I've gotten. I like if story includes character stuff. Is that our breakdown?
Yeah, there's just
Like
stuff.
characters.
We're kind of talking about both at the same time, so it's fine.
Okay, I like a lot of the characters I've come across already.
Hmm.
And it's mostly just been like side characters, but games with cool side characters are my cup of tea for sure.
Hmm.
So like every time I introduce me to a new character that I feel like I'm going to come back across, or like any cool merchant or something like that, I'm super into it. And this game has a wildly fantastic, diverse cast that I can't remember a game that has been this diverse in a good way in a long time. Like in playing other games recently, there is a whole lot of like, yes, the game is white, and here is the black character. Who's the black character in the game? And here's the Asian character, and everyone else is neutral. Or like, and this one is like, there is not the black character or the Asian character or the any character. Like the game is like every single person you talk to is varied
Hmm.
and is I think has not been weird or like stereotyped in any way. I mean, you can tell me. I trust your opinion more, but like that's
Hmm.
just one thing I've noticed is like this is fucking good shit, Horizon.
Yeah. There's only one issue with that kind of
Hmm.
inclusion stuff. It's more of a meme than anything. There's a guy who's Asian Conan O'Brien, which is fucking hilarious.
There's definitely Asian Conan O'Brien.
God, I died. It's so
He's
funny.
absolutely Asian Conan O'Brien.
Otherwise, but no, they get it right. I mean, like they get skin tones and like lip tones and all that stuff right on the black people. It's really good. It's still weird that they're all Native American tribes, but that's not a problem. I guess the world's restarting, so makes sense, I suppose.
I think they all are though. I think
Well,
the
that's more
Nora
the first.
are.
That's more the first game than this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the Nora are, but even like the Oseram are like at the point of like the Iron Age, like
yeah.
like forging type
Hmm.
people, and have seemed like more like going for like Norse, like Northern European vibes.
Yeah.
Just of all their stuff about like forging and hammers and anvils and stuff like seems very different. And the Karjas seem almost like they like the vibes are like Middle Eastern maybe,
Hmm.
but there's people of all sorts of different, you know, colors and skin tones and
Yeah.
everything within that, like their aesthetic maybe, but um yeah.
It's all
That's
very
one
cool.
thing that I have seen is that people who are natives were like, okay, cool, we're doing this again. We're doing the Braves thing again. We're
Braves and the
doing
Norras.
like
Here we are.
yeah, great. Here we are again. So I mean, you know, I trust those people's opinions. If there's lots of people who are natives who see it a certain kind of way, you know, obviously that means more than this face. Um, but I've seen that in few and far between, I think, and
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anything that seemed obvious or bad to me. But again, I probably would be the last person to notice it
Yeah.
compared to people who live that life.
Yeah. It seems pretty good to me. But I will. I got one thing before I do a transition. Right.
Hmm.
There's a thing. Again, we're talking about. Again, all this we said at the beginning. You should get the game. It's very good. My one last little criticism thing. It has to do with story and characters. You know,
Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
talking about. It feels like there are other games that do this conversation, relationship telling story thing better. Maybe there's another part of this game that feels very much like Mass Effect. Maybe it feels very much like, I don't know, the Normandy. But it also just feels like you're only talking to the doctor lady. That's Dr. Chikawa or whatever her name is.
Iquus,
Yes. Because it's like,
come on.
oh, maybe you have a base. Maybe you have all your friends there. And then maybe they actually don't say anything interesting.
Mm.
That's another
So
part.
she was your uninteresting character that you never bothered to go
I
talk
mean, you
to?
talk to her once, but then like you come back after another mission, she don't have nothing new to say. You know?
Oh, that's right. That's right. She kind of you give her the bottle of brandy at one point, and she's
Yeah.
like, "All right,
We're
I'm
good
done."
buddies. Yeah. So that's the thing where like I love the world and I love the story and them rebuilding the world and the robot dinosaurs and all that, but it's a lot of talking at you. Well, whatever, it is what it is. That's a small gripe and a pretty good game. But going into that gameplay, because this is where it is. I will kill a robot dinosaur all day, every day. I love killing these robots. It is such a good time. I think that is like the 10 out of 10. Like they nailed it. Like doing stealth, archery. The melee is actually fun now. You actually have combos and stuff instead of just tapping the same button over and over again.
Hmm.
Killing dinosaurs is great. Not dinosaurs, robots is great.
Machines,
Yeah,
the
machines.
machines.
It's so fun. I think that is absolutely the best part of the game, without a doubt, is, laying traps. However you want to kill the machines, I think that is the number one thing that this game does very well.
Yeah, there looks like there is incredible variety, like in the skill menu and stuff, and however you want to play it. Like if you want to like focus on doing the overriding and treat it almost like you've got like a summon system where you just fucking turn the chargers on each other, or or if you want to like stealth through as much of it as possible. Or I'm doing a melee build, so I just kind of walk in and go, all right, which one of you machines wants to get lit up first? I just start swinging away.
Mm.
And yeah, the melee feels much, much better. Like the amount of things you can do for already in this game. And again, I'm like I said, I'm very early, and there's already a lot more that I feel like I can do compared to last game. Um, and I dig it a lot. And I've got a ton of weapons already. I think I've got like 11 weapons, and I can only equip 6 of them. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just started. Like, good for you. We're gonna have a lot to do in this thing. But yeah, I taking on the machines is real fun. It is. It does. I mean, it's again. It's the same concept as the last one. It's taking that little bit of like puzzly elements of figuring out where to take them down and where the sweet spot is, and then just and then the physical ability to then do it, to like hit them and do things the way you're supposed to do them, and that shit is excellent. It was in the last game. It is in this game, but I think there's lots of small improvements that are just better.
Yep.
My one gameplay gripe, and I don't know if it felt like this on the first one, and I don't remember it that well, this specific part of it that well, but I feel like the climbing feels not intuitive or great.
A lot of
Like a
people
lot of
have talked about the climbing. I
okay.
always just click the little focus, not the focus, but like the ping. So I just always know it's like, oh, follow the yellow lines. But
Oh no, yeah, I've been doing that too.
yeah,
It's
I
just
haven't had a
even
problem, but a lot of people do not like
mhm,
the climbing in the game. I think it's what it doesn't bother me, but I also didn't play the first one enough to remember
mhm.
how good or bad the climbing was. So I'm like, it's fine, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
I have no recollection of what it was like in the first
a
one,
lot of
which
people
means it
don't
was
like it.
probably good if I don't remember. If it
Yeah.
like that's not a part that's like, oh man, climbing stuff. Isn't that great? That's for real Assassin's Creed 1 shit. Like that
Mm.
was fucking 13 years ago. No, longer than that. 14, 15 years ago. Holy hell.
It's been a while.
It was a while ago. So yeah, so that's not the part that stands out. That's the part of the gameplay I honestly care about the least. So like it's not a deal breaker or anything. And I do the pings too. So I just follow the yellow lines and it's fine.
Mm.
But just sometimes yeah, it just doesn't and it doesn't feel the most intuitive. It doesn't feel like sometimes where you're moving and it just I don't know if it like always takes like one or two inputs too many. So at any point you have to go back down. I feel like it's like, oh
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this is
Well,
not responding the way
left
I
and
want it
right.
to at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um but again, not near enough to keep me from playing it, and not near enough to keep me from climbing every single thing that I see that's climbable.
Mm.
Because I will do that forever. So was that a tall thing you got there? Well,
Jumping
I
up
guess
that
this is where
ladder.
I'm going. Yeah, I guess this is where I'm going. Um, but I, don't, I but they've got the little rope pull thing too to help you out. And I don't
Yeah.
think that was in the first game.
Not from what I can remember.
The Batman
The grapple
rope
hook?
yourself up. Yeah, the
Yeah.
grapple hook. Yeah, so that helps with a lot of those sections. It's just like no, that you can just grapple up. Just ignore the climby bits.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only gameplay part I've taken even slight issue with. And again, slight is the key word there. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the act of fighting machines is real fun.
Doing the skill tree is fun. I've got
Great skill tree.
two of the
Great skill
things
tree.
filled out all the way already.
Jesus Christ.
Well, all the ones that I want. The only thing is that
Are you playing back and forth or are you focusing hard on one?
I do so the ones I maxed out are melee and archery, or
Hmm.
whatever that skill tree is. So I do archery to get
Yeah.
the pieces off that I want, and then I'll just go in and melee after I get what I want out of the whatever. Or if
Mm.
it's super big, like I'm not gonna like try to punch a bellow back, but I mean I guess I could.
Yeah.
But
The
they're not try-
bristleback?
No, the bellow back or bellow. The ones with the giant tank. They were in the first game, like the big
Oh yeah,
sack
yeah, yeah, yeah,
on the
yeah.
back
Yes,
of
yes,
them.
yes.
I forgot what they're
Yeah.
called.
You're right. I
Those are
haven't
fun.
gotten that far in two yet to remember the names. So I'm only remember the names of the one I've come across.
Yeah, there's a lot of machines I still haven't seen yet, and I'm pretty decent amount of way into it. So yeah, I'm with you. I think gameplay is very solid. A lot. I think that is an improvement on the first game. Climbing's fine, and not being able to have multiple traps until you upgrade that tree, I don't think is great either. Because you used to be able to put down like 3 or 4 traps. Now it's like you got one out. Sorry.
You can do two right off the jump, can't
Two
you?
used to be able to do the ropes, the rope ones.
Yeah.
I used to just do a ton of those, but now it's like real finicky and. But again, it
Yeah.
also has a skill tree, so I'm sure if you.
I guess they want you to level them up
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
yeah.
which
Because
is fine.
there's a whole trap tree.
Yeah.
So they probably just need to fill it out with some extra stuff. I'm kind of spreading mine out. So like I've got some in the stealth tree, some in the survival tree for like extra health, and then I've got a lot in melee, and some in archery. There hasn't been enough in the archery tree that's like, oh man, I gotta have that. That seems like it'll help me right away. It's like, all right, that's a cool, like maybe helpful thing down the road, but I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot going on there. And they don't, even though it's a lot, there's 7 skill trees, right?
5.
7? Yeah.
5. Melee, traps, archery, stealth, machine override.
Survival and survival.
And survival, so 6.
And is there one more?
I think it's 6. Machine override, I know, is the one on the far right. But anyways.
Yes.
It's 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Somewhere
So
there.
it's either, I know it was at least 6. It's either 6 or 7, but it doesn't feel, you get so many skill points that it doesn't feel super overwhelming. Like you get some when you level up, you get some when you finish quests.
I like that you get more than quests. That's
you
great.
get more than one when you finish some quests. So it's like, especially when you get past like the first section of each tree and everything stops being 1 point and starts being like 2 and 3 points, you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm never gonna. But then you finish the quest and it's like, hey, here's 3, and the quest leveled you up, so there's an extra, so you got 4 right away.
Yeah.
You went from 0 to 4 just for one quest finishing. And I was like, okay, this is dope. I feel like I'm gonna get as much as I want out of this, maybe all of it, or maybe I just completely ignore like the machining tree. That's what I'm doing so far. Completely ignoring it.
I don't have a single point in machine tree. I do not care.
Not one.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our last part of the game. I think we've covered basically everything that we need to cover. So these are reader write-ins. I asked people like, "Hey, you played Horizon? What do you think about it?" This is from Revex Shadows, which is John over at Pixel Street. He says, "I'm pretty. Excuse me. Let me learn how to read English. I'm still pretty early in the game, but I'm a little disappointed it hasn't evolved to the point I was hoping. That being said, it's still really good, but." Was traversing the world was better again. Yeah, moving. I think that stuff does get better as you go through the game, but it's the same thing where it's like, yeah, man. Early on, it's like it's good, but it's like I wish this was different. But then eventually, it's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff different. But again,
Makes me wonder if he's in the same place I'm in. Yeah, where once
we
he
all
gets
do the
out of the
exact same
dock,
thing. We're like, we spent 7 hours in the dock because, like, well, we have to.
we have to do everything. I can't leave any of these little icons slightly gray. Must be completely filled out.
I know there's a power very late on which makes traversal meaningless, which I haven't got to that point, but that'll be cool whenever I get there. Or makes it like not trivial, excuse me, not meaningless, trivial.
Okay.
And Rattlehead73X on Twitter says, "Good game, I enjoyed it. Doesn't bring anything new to the genre. Could have been an Ubisoft game and I wouldn't have noticed a difference. I'd score it 85 out of 100. Kind of agree with that. I think 85, I mean, it's basically what the Metacritic is. It feels right. It's like, this is a good game. It's not, oh my God, I've never seen a better open world game in my life. But I'm like, it is a very good open world game. So I feel like that score's pretty consistent. And I feel like, yeah, Ubisoft, like this feels like one of the better Assassin's Creed games. Would be like a similar amount of enjoyment. So I don't completely disagree with this.
We'll see how it. Because I have completely fallen out of open world games. It used to be like my thing, just because it was like, when you're young and on a limited budget and have all the time in the world, it's like, oh man, I can do so much. I could play Skyrim for the rest of my life if I wanted to.
Still good.
And Bethesda has capitalized on that for sure. So that was like perfect for me at points. But now I'm like, bro, I got a job. Like, I got games I've bought and that are still in the plastic. So like, not enough to play is not the problem. So anytime I start an open world game and I'm like, all right, this looks fucking huge and not enjoyable. Like, I don't need this. I did not have that problem with the first Horizon. I definitely didn't do everything. I did not collect every little random flower or whatever was on the map, but like, I did a lot of the stuff and it was excellent. So if this one does the same to me, then that'll tell me how, by the end of it, how quality of an open world game it is. Because there's so many times where I'm playing, like when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, right? And I played it and I started and I was like, this is cool so far. I like this stuff on these boats. I like the way this melee is. And then I finished the whole little first section. And it's like, all right, now here's what the whole map looks like. Do that same thing 36 times. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And I turned it off. I was like, never gonna do that. I'm
Dude,
turning this off right now.
100% Odyssey. Fucking love that game so
God,
much.
you're a madman. You're an absolute madman. I was like, bro, I can't do it. But then turn around and I play Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm like, this is a really big open world. And I was like, and I'm gonna do every fucking thing on this map because it is an excellent game. And that is actively fun to play, and even just run around and be on a horse and look at how pretty it is. And I played that shit on a PS4.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to play just the PS5 version just to watch like the opening scene where you gallop across the flowers. But I'm hoping Horizon will reach that level and will want me to keep playing it, instead of me going back to playing the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster because it's excellent and it's the best Final Fantasy game. Side topic. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. That's what we have for readers. So that'll be the end of the podcast. I'll just say real quick, thanks for listening. Thank you, Jake, for joining me. For those of you already on patreon.com/respawnaimfire, you're getting this video early. If you want to spend $1 a month, you get these reviews early. You can vote on our Barf Games Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. We review an old game every month. And it's just $1 if you want to do that. But if for not everybody else, it'll probably go live. I think I'm doing it on Sunday. Everyone listen to this on Sunday. Have a good time. Talk about Horizon. Jake,
Wow. Only $1 a month. That's an incredible deal, Adam.
I'm on the Patreon and I'm on the show. So there we go.
How much of a cut of that do I get for this?
I will send you the 38 cents that I'd make from it. I got you, my guy.
Okay.
No problem. But yeah, Respawn Aim Fire. Thank you guys for listening. Jake, just real quick as we're getting out here, go ahead and give your plugs again.
Oh yeah. My personal Twitter is at thebirdman53, but that's not interesting or good. If you really want to contribute to things that I care about and am trying to push for more activity on and stuff, find us at Misfit Rolls. That's our D&D campaign's Twitter page. That's pretty much our name on everything. We've got a Facebook page. We're on Twitch. We've got a YouTube. Just put a new video up today if you're watching this on the Wednesday that we recorded it on. Just put something new up on YouTube. We just streamed last night. Season 2 just started. So we'll be live every Tuesday on Twitch TV at Twitch TV/Misfit Rolls at 9 p.m. And then YouTube videos go up on Wednesdays, and then it hits podcast feeds on Sundays. So whichever way you like to consume content, consume it. Yes. We'll feed you, baby birds.
No. Right in your mouths, right in your little beaks.
Chew it up, spit it out for you. Do you like video? Great. Do you hate video? You don't want to look at anything? Audio. We got it.
Right in your mouth. All right. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Happy hunting in the Forbidden West.
And we out.